In the year 1662, under the quiet hum of candlelight and the smell of salt from the distant sea, a man named Elias Finch lived in a small stone house on the edge of the English coast. He was a cartographer, a maker of maps, and though his name would never appear in the grand halls of kings or on the shelves of scholars, he held an obsession that few could understand. He believed that the world could not truly be drawn. He believed instead that the world drew itself, slowly, silently, through the hands of those who watched and listened. Each evening, as the waves struck the cliffs below his home, Elias would sit at his long oak desk. Before him lay a half-finished parchment, the edges curling from the damp. The ink shimmered faintly in the flicker of the lantern beside him. He would dip his quill into ink as dark as the night beyond his window and whisper, almost as a prayer, "Show me where you are, old world. Show me your hidden corners." And then he would draw. The sea outside his window was never quiet. It moved as though it breathed, inhaling and exhaling through the mist. Elias listened for patterns, not in sound but in silence. He believed that maps were not inventions of man, but translations of the earth's own language. He had once worked for noblemen, charting harbors and merchant routes, but he had left that life behind. Something had changed one autumn night. A ship had arrived in the nearby harbor, carrying a Portuguese sailor who clutched a bundle wrapped in oilskin. The man's eyes were feverish, his voice broken. He spoke of a storm that had swallowed his crew whole, and yet, somehow he had survived. Before he died, he pressed the bundle into Elias's hands. Inside there was a map. But it was unlike any Elias had ever seen. No compass, no borders, no names, only faint lines, drawn in a hand too delicate to be human. The shapes shifted under the lantern's glow as though alive, coasts bending, rivers sliding softly across the paper. Elias blinked and thought his tired eyes deceived him. But when he looked again the next morning, the map had changed. He studied it for weeks. Each night, he would set the strange map beside his own blank parchment and watch. Tiny dots appeared where he had not drawn. Faint trails of ink curled outward from nothing. He marked the changes carefully, but they always outpaced him. Whatever the map was, it was still writing itself. The coastline that had once hugged the Atlantic seemed to drift outward, revealing islands that did not exist. Mountains formed where oceans had been. And sometimes, when the candlelight was soft enough, Elias thought he could see tiny ships gliding across the ink, moving soundlessly through a sea that wasn't there. He became obsessed. Days turned to nights, nights to weeks. He barely ate. He rarely spoke. He began to wonder, was the map showing the future? Or perhaps the past, a version of the world that had already vanished? One fog-drowned morning, as the gulls wheeled and cried above the cliffs, Elias took the map outside. The mist was so thick that he could barely see his hands. He held the parchment up to the gray light, and for a moment, it looked as though the fog itself was seeping into the map, filling its edges, shaping its rivers. And then he saw it. A new line appeared before his eyes. A coastline that looked eerily familiar. The same cliff, the same bay, the same jagged rocks below his home. At the edge of the new coastline was a small ink dot, a house. His house. Elias felt a chill crawl up his spine. The map was drawing him. That night he could not sleep. He sat in his chair long after the candles had burned down to wax puddles. The map lay open, its faint lines glimmering in the moonlight. He whispered to it, not in fear but in awe. "If you can draw me, then what am I to you? A line? A shadow? A moment on your edge?" As if in reply, the ink shimmered. A new symbol appeared, small, circular, resting in the center of the sea. Elias leaned closer. It was not a coastline nor a compass. It was an eye. Weeks passed. Outside, storms rolled across the coast, shaking his little home. Inside, Elias worked by the dim glow of lanterns, watching the map come alive. He began to dream differently. In his sleep, he walked along coastlines that shimmered like glass. He saw rivers that flowed upward into the clouds. He saw stars beneath the surface of the sea. And always, somewhere in the distance, a soft voice whispered, "Keep drawing." When he awoke, the same lines from his dreams had appeared on the parchment. He no longer questioned it. He was part of it now, a vessel through which the earth was remembering itself. Years later, when a fisherman from the nearby village knocked on Elias Finch's door, no one answered. Inside, the fire had long gone out. The house smelled of sea salt and ink. On the table, there were dozens of maps, each one layered atop the next, like the pages of a sleeping world. Some showed oceans where there should have been forests. Others marked stars that no astronomer had ever named. And on the very last map, the one still wet with ink, there was something new. A single coastline looping inward, forming the unmistakable shape of a face. Eyes closed. Peaceful. The fisherman backed away slowly. When he looked again, the ink had spread, swallowing the last bit of land. The world had drawn itself complete. And somewhere, far beneath the paper's surface, Elias Finch slept. A cartographer finally lost inside the map he could never finish. They say the map still exists, hidden in a maritime archive in Lisbon or in the cellar of a London collector. But no one can keep it long. The ink keeps moving. And sometimes, if you listen closely at night, you can still hear the soft scratching of a quill, tracing the edges of a world that refuses to end. "The world is not what we draw," Elias once wrote. "It is what keeps drawing us."